I am the big tank.
On the battlefield of life, nothing's harder than a tank. Yeah, have you ever met a man, heart's full of love, bigger than a
Tank.
tank?
Big tank.
He served in a few wars, he's a veteran that stands for a cause. For the best interviews and news, just keep it glued to the
Tank. I
tank.
am the tank. Big
Big
tank.
Tank Talk.
Tank.
Big Tank Talk.
Tank.
Big Tank Talk.
Hey, friends, and welcome to another episode of Big Tank Talk. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing Mr. Bobby Gossett. Bobby is a singer and a musician and a good friend. Bobby, welcome to Big Tank Talk.
I appreciate it, Big Tank. I've been looking forward to this for a while and just getting the schedule worked out to be here. So thanks for the opportunity.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and I appreciate you taking the time to be here. So, without too much ado, let's just jump right in with both feet. And so, what first got you into music?
I think it was growing up, Big Tank. I was just always fascinated with music, all different genres. My dad had a big record collection. Mom and dad had a big one of those giant wooden stereo cabinets that killed your big toe if you walked by it in the dark. And
I remember those.
if we weren't building fence or working on the farm, I was in there spinning those records, and I was just hooked ever since. Dad was always singing around the house, and so I've always had a passion for it.
That's awesome. Have you been playing guitar most of your life, or is that something more recent?
No, probably, since my late teenage years, Mom and Dad one Christmas gave me an Ibanez acoustic guitar, and I think they just picked up on how much I love music, and when they bought that guitar, I was off to the races, and I fiddle with a lot of instruments, piano and harmonica, and I just anything that I can make a sound with. But guitar was definitely I really attached to it, and I've been playing since then to a mediocre degree. But I never had formal lessons. I taught myself. But I've been ever since I had that guitar. I've been writing songs and over the years, and just something that I always had as a hobby.
Well, being somebody who at the crisp young age of 60 started guitar lessons, my hat's off to you for teaching yourself. Um, Let me ask you. So you say you are a songwriter as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So when you're writing a song or making the music that you make, what is your creative process?
I was always a writer. I always liked to write poetry, and I know you're a poet as well. But I wrote poetry long before I wrote music. So that's how I start. It's always a phrase or something that would pop into my head. And I heard Jeremy Wayne McKern make kind of the same comment. Things will pop into my head at 3 a.m. and I have to get up and come to my office. And sometimes it flows out that way, and sometimes it's bits and pieces just thrown together, and the music comes later for me. I put the music to the poetry later. So I really focus probably more on the lyrics, and then musically I'll have a chord structure, a progression that I have in my mind, and we'll polish that out with the producer in the studio and put some more music theory to it.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, you're right. I have written poems. I've written one song in my life, so I have been told I am a songwriter because I've written a song. I've just never tried to write any more since. So, excuse me. Um, as you're progressing in your music uh, career, for one of a better way to put it, um, what would you say? Who would you say would be the person you most like to be an opener for?
You know, I would love to open or play side by side with James Taylor or Ray LaMontagne. They're some of my favorite singer songwriters. I love the way they write and perform music, and it's really who I want to emulate and try to be more like. Naturally, my music comes out more country because I'm from East Texas than anything else. It just, you can't take the country out of it because of my background. But I would love to get on a stage with one of those two gentlemen. It would be an honor.
So if I was to ask you who you'd like to collaborate with, it's pretty much the same answer.
It would be. It most definitely.
That's fair. Let me ask you now, you've been making music for a little while now, yes?
Well, I wouldn't say I've been writing it for a long time, but actually putting forth an effort behind making a product out of it is a recent development. It's something that I didn't want to approach until I felt like I could give it the effort that was justified behind it. I didn't want to take a half swing at anything. So I spent many years just almost like a vacation fund, a little bit at a time over the years, putting together a little budget where I said, okay, I'm going to take some of the music that I've written over the past 15, 20 years and really try and record it the right way, promote it the right way. So that's I haven't been making and putting music out long. I just started this year.
Well, hearing a few songs that I know you put out, the couple I know you put out, Frio Shoals and Fireside, is that the other one?
Yes, sir.
Excuse me. Um, the work that you put in is pretty clear to me. They're both they're really good songs, and the quality of production quality and everything is really good.
I appreciate that. I got lucky and stumbled upon a studio local here in San Antonio that just has a phenomenal team in house, and that made all the difference. I could have walked into any studio and not had the same result. And I definitely got luck of the draw with my producer Mac Damon and his team. They really, you'll walk in with four chords and some words, and you're going to walk out with something really beautiful.
That's cool. It definitely does help to have a good team backing you.
Oh
So
yeah.
let me ask you, since you're making music now and you're starting to put it out there, what inspires you now to do this, to make music and to put it out for public consumption?
It's just people enjoying it, and mostly people reaching out saying that it moved them emotionally, or they connected with my music in some way. That really drives it the most. I can only do it so long on the budget that I created, and do it the way that I'd like to do it. So my dream is that at some point the music starts supporting further creation. So I won't let it drain me for any reason, but that's what inspires me to keep going at the moment is hey, people actually like this, like, because I have imposter syndrome. I think most musicians do. Most musicians are introverts. We really struggle with promoting ourselves. It's the most awkward thing in the world for me to go out and, hey, you got to listen to this song, but it's something that you kind of got to get past and do your best to get it out there despite your inhibitions about it.
I understand that, and I'll be honest with you, Bobby. We met on Clapper, a social media app, and I have in the past, when asked about musicians, that that did I know any musicians that would be interesting playing shows or whatever. I never fail to mention Bobby Gossett in my answer.
Well, I definitely appreciate that. Yeah, it's a social media is definitely a confidence booster, because I never would have thought, hey, my music's good enough to actually try and put out there and to be successful with it. I just thought it was a fun hobby that I enjoyed doing. It's therapeutic to me. So when people really connect with it, it helps a lot, and helps me overcome those confidence inhibitions and actually feel confident enough that it's worth hearing.
I can respect that as a music consumer, somebody who's been buying and appreciating music for a long time. Um, your music definitely is reaching people.
I appreciate that, BigTank.
So taking a little bit of a different tack now, good and bad, or good or bad, however you choose to answer it. How do you feel the internet has impacted music business?
I think that's a deep question, and we could talk on it a long time. In some ways, I mean, you could definitely point out negative impacts of streaming music and how the streaming platforms, it makes things really difficult for indie artists. But if you go back in time before any of it existed, think about how hard it would be for an independent artist to get their music heard. I see a lot of people, whether they're on TikTok or Clapper, and they'll complain they may only have 9 or 10 people in the room. But you think about out here in the real world, if you had 9 or 10 people gather around in a coffee shop listening to you play, that'd be a pretty good day, wouldn't it? So
I would think so.
I think those platforms, they give, like, I can put a cover out and 300 people or 1,000 people may hear me sing, but that's more than before those existed. You wouldn't get that kind of exposure. So it does kind of flood the market. So, consumers of music like you scroll through, you're going to get 100 different musicians to choose from, or to be able to listen to. So it's hard to stand out, but the opportunity's there. And that's what internet and social media platforms, that's what they've done for music, is give you a voice. If you put in the work, you're making quality music, and you really polish your craft and put it out there, and people like it, you have a really good opportunity for both exposure and growth. And so I think that's the positive side of it. Now, the streaming platforms, that's really hard to break through, but you have to treat it the same way. They're a social media platform. You got to slowly grow a following. You've got to promote. You've really got to push. You got to put the effort in. You can't just throw it out there and hope it goes. That's the lucky ones. Some of the lucky ones do go viral, or they just write that perfect song that's just timely for the culture at the time. That you've seen a lot of that, where it just touches people and moves people to rally behind it. But I think it's a long end game that you've got to commit to and really put in the work over time to grow.
I can understand, and what I'm getting from that and what music business with the internet involved has in common with the music business before the internet was a thing, was that if you're going to be a success, you got to put in the work. I think that's the bottom line.
That's always going to be the case. Yeah, if you have a dream, it's like a garden. I mean, you can't just plant the seed and walk off. You've got to invest in it. And I see a lot of that, people giving up and not realizing what work it takes. But it's another full-time job. It really is.
Okay, so being new to producing music for public consumption, I assume you haven't done any touring yet.
No, BigTank, my schedule just doesn't have room for it. It is something that, like, in the future, that I want to do more of, and definitely want to polish the entertainment side and the live performing side of what I do, because I have done a lot of it in the past in my younger years. But I have a family. I have 4 daughters and a grandson. We've talked about that. Family comes first. Family's always number one. My career, I have a 20-year career in an industry that, that's number 2, because that's my means to support them. And then I have my education. I'm trying to wrap up a degree in mechanical engineering. So there's just not a lot of time slots left in the day, or even on the weekends, to be able to go out and tour. Music, I've kind of put music up there as a priority, even with my education. It's like dreams that I want to accomplish, and things that I want to invest some time into. So I've moved it up from hobby level for sure. I can't say that it's just a hobby anymore, because of the time and the effort that I put behind it. But that's another thing where internet benefits us, is for people like me who don't have time to pack up all my gear and go set up for a show and and be gone late on a Saturday night or Friday night away from my family, I can come sit right here in my office / studio and put on a live show from here. But definitely when I finish school and time opens up, I'm definitely going to do more live performing, because I think that's really, in today's age, the only way that you can really monetize your music as an artist, is to get out there and do those live gigs. That's really where the best place to go make some money, so that you can reinvest in making new music and keep going.
That's it. That makes sense, and I definitely want to see you continue in your music career, because from what I've heard so far, I am definitely a Bobby Gossett fan.
Well, I'm a BigTank and I appreciate it. I
I
love your.
appreciate.
I watch every one of them.
You're one of a few. I appreciate that a lot. Let me ask you, since you started in music, I mean, being serious about it, what's the best advice you've been given?
Just don't quit. Hey, you're not going to do anything for the first time and have a masterpiece. You've got to polish it. You've got to put it out, and you got to take feedback well. You're going to get told no a lot. That was something I just even still I'm experiencing. I pitched my song Frio Shoals to a big handful of playlist curators on Spotify to try to get in on some of these bigger playlists and get more streams. And I can tell you, I was getting no after no after no after no. And then that one good win comes through. You're going to get told no a lot, but keep going. Don't let it stop you. But at the same time, listen to those who are telling you no and why, and adjust, learn from it. So just be willing to put in the work, and don't wait to chase your dreams. You got to have a roadmap to where you want to go. Don't expect to get there overnight. It doesn't matter how big or small a step you take in that direction. Just have it mapped out. Write down the little milestones in between that you want to accomplish, and whittle away at it. It takes time, but I think with persistence, you can definitely get there.
Bobby, that's great advice. And to be fair, that's great advice no matter what business you're in, not just music. I was an industrial mechanic for years, and, patience and persistence, excuse me, patience and persistence in any job are definitely key to being a success in that job. So excellent advice. Um, as a performer, what's your biggest fear?
I guess just people don't like the music, but I've come to find that it's like any piece of art. You can have 10 people walk by, and you're not all 10 people are going to love it. It's all in the beholder and who's listening. But yeah, I think that's my biggest fear, is that my music doesn't start reinvesting into my recording budget to where I can keep doing it. Because, as I said, I won't. I'm going to do it now, and so that I can say that I tried and that I did it, and I gave it my best shot. But at the same time, I'm not going to dump my whole retirement into trying to keep recording music if it's not going to support itself at some point. So that's my biggest fear, that I don't get to that balance point where I can reinvest and keep making music, because I love making it so much.
I understand that. That's a legitimate fear or concern, but it's also good that you're not letting that fear hold you back from doing what you love. One other question. Well, no, two other questions. First, for those Bobby Gossett fans out there, what is your advice to them as fans of your music?
Don't hold back feedback. Tell me what you want to hear. Tell me what you like about my music, and what you don't like. And I don't know that I have advice other than, if you're a Bobby Gossett fan, then I have so much appreciation for you. I can't thank people enough that take the time to listen and to leave a comment, let me know what they think, and it's a whole lot of encouragement. Independent artists need that. it really fuels us to keep going. So yeah, I don't know what else to say for Bobby Gossett fans, however many there are, but just thank you. I don't know that I have advice other than just appreciation.
My little 2 cents worth, for what it's worth to Bobby Gossett fans, start calling radio stations and putting a bug in their ear about Bobby Gossett, and maybe it'll get them interested enough to start reaching out and finding out who Bobby Gossett is and help him grow.
Yeah, I mean that'd be a huge help. Anything like that, sharing my post, uh, with their friends, or if you think someone else might like my song, definitely share that and follow my playlist on Spotify and that sort of thing. I did distribute Frio Shoals to Texas radio, and I'll be distributing it to the U.S. radio distribution channels soon. So, but it does take people calling the radio station and requesting it. It'll be in their library, but you got to ask to hear it, I'm sure, because that when you're starting out, nobody knows your name, nobody knows who you are.
Right. And my last question is it just kind of builds on everything else. Where do you see yourself with your music career down the road, say 5 or 10, 15 years down the road?
I hope to be established as a songwriter. I have no desire to be famous or on the road touring as a big name artist. I want to be home with my family. I would love to do local gigs and things like that. But, my biggest dream, I think if I could say any of this was a win from a professional standpoint, it would be that a big name artist wants to pick up and record a song written by Bobby Gossett. I think that would put the icing on the cake. But I'll tell you, success for me is measured as leaving a legacy and a lesson for my girls. I want them to be able to hear their dad's voice when they're gone and say, my dad was a singer-songwriter and he's got music, and it's hopefully forever there on platforms like Spotify and iTunes, so they can go back and listen and have a positive memory. And at the same time, I want to show them that if you have a dream, I just want to teach them that don't be afraid to go pursue your dreams, but be willing to put in the work. Because I try to be very visible about, the work it takes, and that it's not overnight magic, that you've got to be dedicated. And that, like you said, that lesson applies throughout their lives, in anything they pursue, career, education, or just in life with their own families.
I got to tell you, Bobby, it warms my heart to see another family man like you, because that's kind of how I've been with my family, with my children. And I want them to learn from things that I've done and from the mistakes I've made, because I certainly don't want them to continue and make mistakes that I've made in the past. So it makes me, it really warms my heart to see it's clear how much love you have for your family, particularly your children.
It's a tough world to be raising children in, and they need the best opportunity to get their right foot forward. A lot of those lessons, as you mentioned, they will have to learn on their own. We can tell them all day, and they're not going to hear it until they have to experience it, unfortunately. But yeah, I think some of those traits can be established at a young age. The work ethic and the discipline to your craft, and the dedication. I think it was for me, being raised on a farm. We got up early, we got to work, and that work ethic has always been with me, and is why I've been successful in my real life career, other than music. Is just that work ethic that was ingrained at me at a young age.
That I get that, and growing up now, I didn't grow up on a farm, but my grandfather was a farmer, so I know when you do work on a farm, you learn hard work, and you see the tangible results of hard work. So I'm quite sure you carry that same work ethic into your music, and I see big things for you. However you choose to go, if it's as a songwriter, I see at some point, I think your songs will be out there for public consumption on a large scale.
for sure.
All right. Now, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. At this point, this is where I'm giving you the opportunity to do a shout out. You can shout out song or an album or a person or people in your life that is entirely up to you. But this is your time now to do your shout out.
Yeah. I guess I'll shout out, do some self promotion. You know, I've got the song Frio Shoals and Fireside out on all platforms. I appreciate you adding that to your playlist and giving it a listen. The music video for Fireside will be out this Thursday. We're going to have a public viewing party on YouTube, and I hope everyone can make it. It's going to be 7 p.m. Central Time this Thursday, December 21st. You'll be able to chat, and we'll all be able to watch it together. I'm hoping I'm not the only one sitting in the room when that thing premieres. So I'd really love for everyone to make it to that and watch the music video. I think it turned out fantastic. You know, we did a video for Frio Shoals, and I thought it was pretty good, but this one's so much better. And of course we got Jess Garzoni. She's amazingly talented vocalist, and I'm excited to share that with everyone.
Well, I appreciate that, Bobby. I appreciate you taking time to be here, and I'm not lying when I say I'm a Bobby Gossett fan. Excuse me. All right, friends, that's you. Appreciate you taking the time to watch my interview with Bobby Gossett. If you feel like I didn't ask him a certain question you wanted to hear answered, put that in the comments and let us know. And if it's something that's reasonable, I'm certain either I can ask Bobby at a future time, or maybe Bobby will see the comment and he'll respond to you directly. In the meantime, give us a like, and by all means, please subscribe. I got more great interviews coming. Bobby, I appreciate you taking the time to be here, and I look forward to talking to you in the future.
Likewise, Big Tank. Thanks for having me.
It's been my pleasure. Have a great day.
You too.